I want to talk to you now about teams and permissions. Teams and permissions is something that Aqua has been working on for quite a while in an effort to make it simpler for you to manage a lot of subscriptions and a lot of developers. This problem is most prevalent for large organizations that have a lot of devs, as well as contractors or dev shops who have to either A, work on a lot of different subscriptions or have a lot of subscriptions, a lot of different people working on them. As you can see here, I have, I don't know, about 40 or so subscriptions, maybe 50. And I'm certainly not in the upper counts of numbers of subscriptions that customers have. So we created, like I said, this new system called Teams and Permissions. And if you're part of the beta, you'll see a menu item that says Teams. Now, if I go into that, be given the opportunity to create a team. And I'm going to walk you through what it's like to create a team on the Acquia network. Currently, the way the Acquia system works is you have a subscription, and a subscription really has a one-to-one relationship with a doc root. There might be a dev stage prod environment, or it might be multi-site, but it's one doc root. And if you want someone to work on that, be it give them access to Insight, give them access to Search, give them access to the Cloud UI, you basically have to add that user to that subscription directly. If you have 100 subscriptions and a new employee has just started, you will have to add that employee to 100 subscriptions. And that's really not ideal. So one of the ways we got around having to do that is creating teams. And a team has access to subscriptions and it has people in that team. So I'm going to call this team My Cool Team. And down here, I will see all of the subscriptions and sites that I currently have. So now what I can do is I can add sites and subscriptions to this team. Now we're calling them sites here, but it's synonymous with the term that you've come to know in our system called a subscription. So I'm going to pick a couple of these and I'm going to add them to this new team. And there they are. Now this is built off of any subscriptions or sites that are already inside of that I basically own, be it as a proxy admin, which I'll get into a little bit later, or as a primary contact under the old system. So now that I've added these sites to my team, I'll continue. And the system is going to show me all of the users that currently have access to all of those subscriptions. And what I can do then is decide whether or not I want to have those users still have access to this team. So I can see here's all the users that have access to CCI, to Docs, to Assets, to mCooper, to Acquia and Notify. And I can choose to basically allow all those users in, or I can also invite some new users, such as some guy at example.com. I can also pick what kind of role I want to give him: team lead, senior developer, or developer. Now, the way that the system works is we actually allow unlimited roles. So you can create as many roles as you want, and you can assign those roles different permissions. For now, I'm going to give some guy the team lead role, which means he has full access to all the subscriptions and is able to invite other members to this team. I'll click continue. And I'm going to see a summary of what's going on: my organization that I've made, my team name, the sites that are part of this team, and then all of the users and what roles they're going to have when they come onto this team. I'll finish that up. And then this team will be created. Now, if a new employee comes on and I want to give him access to these subscriptions, all I have to do is add him to the team and give him a particular role, and he will then be added to that team. People can, of course, belong to multiple teams. Okay, now that this is completed, I can see all the users that got added to this team and the roles that they have. I can also see the subscriptions that are on this team and remove those subscriptions if I need to as well. I can add a new member to this team, and I can choose the role they get when I add them. Also, I can edit the team name, and I can manage the roles that this team has access to. So we can see here that there's 3 roles in place, and at present I can add those, and we're going to be granting the ability to add unlimited roles and remove these roles and whatnot. But for now, you can just edit the abilities these roles have. So you can change the name, the description, and then of course you can go in and alter any of the permissions that are available. So I'm going to relatively quickly walk through these permissions. So you can, there's a couple of admin ones about whether or not someone can add a user to a team. whether someone has access to the Cloud API. And that's a special admin permission, because once you have access to the Cloud API, you can bypass a lot of permissions. Whether or not you can activate an Acquia Network add-on, and whether or not you can manage SSH keys. These things, they sort of have global style permissions. When you give those things away, you've now given all of the add-ons, or once you manage SSH keys, they could add SSH keys to any site within that subscription. Whether or not they can modify cron for production and non-production, whether they can add and remove a database, whether they can view database connection details, and then whether they can download, create, or restore backups. And we break out a lot of these things for production and non-production environments, because most people really just care about locking down access to the production environment, and everything else is open up. The advantage there is you can then decide that someone can create a database backup and download it for the non-production environment, but they can't do it for the production environment, because you want them to download some creds that are in there. Same thing is the case for domains. We give some information, some access to Insight. We can manage Insight alerts, and you can group Insight sites, downloading logs, upgrading the search, editing the schema, rebooting, resizing, suspending, or configuring the server, creating support tickets, viewing the support tickets. So the most important one here for a lot of people is what people can do in the workflow page, and we break out a lot of the pulls and the moves. So whether you can pull code from a particular environment, and this of course is most important for the production environment, and whether you can move things to and from environments. So we say, can you move files to non-production environments? Yes. Can you move them to the production environment? Maybe no. And then the same thing as the from. So you can say you can move files to non-production environments from non-production environments, but you can choose not to grant the access to that on the production environment. Varnish cache, and then some other configuration options here. So all told, there are about 40 different controls that allow you to make a pretty granular control set for anyone accessing the site. Also, if you have multiple teams, you'll be able to view those teams on an all teams page that will list out the teams and the subscriptions in this style of view with multiple going down. So behind the scenes, something that we've done is create a subscription group. Now what this means is that the subscriptions that you had access to when you created your team were all of the subscriptions that you were a primary contact on. And once you went down this road, behind the scenes we created a subscription group. And now were you to create another team, all the subscriptions you would see are ones that are part of your subscription group, or that you're still a primary contact on under the old system. The subscription group, though, is a little bit different in that it is an entity all by itself. You could almost call it like a company in some respects. And you are now the admin in that company. Now, rather than having to do all the work yourself, you can actually add other administrators to your subscription group. So under members, we see here that we have administrators. Right now there's me. And then under members of teams, we see all the other people that are part of teams. And right now they're all just on the same team inside of this group. But what I can also do is I can add a new admin, and I can say, hey, buddy, would you like to come and be an admin of my team? And if I send that invitation, that user will then get to accept that invitation and become an admin. And an admin will have the ability to create more teams themselves, add other subscriptions that might be part of that they might own into this subscription group, and also to play with the things like editing the global roles. So it's a great way for an organization to delegate information and controls out across the system. So here's a subscription that I've been added to that I don't have any privileges on right now at all. I can see the dev stage and production environments. I can see that there's 3 databases. I can do things like I can see the downloads that exist, but I can't the backups that exist, but I can't actually download any of them. And if I was to go to other pages, I would have the same experience where I could see things, but I couldn't actually work with it. Now, what I'm going to do, since I have the powers of admin, is add myself to this subscription. I'm going to add myself as a developer. And as a developer, I will only have access to the dev and staging environments. So I'll go back, I'm going to reload this page, and I will then see that I have all of the environments light up, but I won't be able to do certain things. For example, I won't be able to drag a database to production. I won't be able to drag code to production. I don't also do not have permission. I do have permission to pull code back from production to staging. I can, for example, change the deployed code to dev, but I cannot change the deployed code to production. Likewise, if I go and look at the domains page, I don't actually have permission to add domains at all. Also, because I have the powers of admin, I'm going to go and bump up my permissions just a little bit and give myself senior developer. Now, as a senior developer, I suddenly have the ability to add domains. And if I go back to the workflow page, I now have the ability to change the code that's deployed to production. Now, say we want to do a little bit of a mishmash here. Say we decided that, you know what, Michael's not quite trustworthy enough to be a senior developer, but I still think he can add domains to the dev and staging environments. So I've moved the user Michael back down to a developer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to manage roles, and I'm going to alter the permissions for developer to allow John Q developer, went down to workflow, I want domains, to manage domains on non-production environments. I'll save this, go back to workflow. Now if I refresh this, of course I'm no longer a developer, a senior developer, so I can no longer do things like download production backups and change code. But if I go to the domains page, look at that. I can add domains to dev and staging, I just can't add them to production. So that's how easy it is to modify the access that users have. Be sure to ask about some of the other features we have going on in the Acquia network and Acquia Cloud, or feel free to check out some of the blogs on Acquia.com that are talking about some of these great new features.